what are the coach, therapists, trainers that I run away from? Immediately, like it's a warning signal. Just say run, okay? And that's what we want to explore today. So, first thing that I really would want to, you guys to develop awareness. Now, coaching is no longer a taboo. Coaching is something that's very real. You guys can opt for coaching, and it's a beautiful practice. You can go and train yourself. You guys can become coaches. You can become interventionists. But here are a few areas that you should also really consider in terms of your sense of importance. Now, first thing first, so I was basically, when I came back, I was meeting up with a lot of psychologists and interventionists in Pakistan just to check on how things are going in. And I took a lot of feedback of their clients as well. The first question that I would want to ask from my psychologist, or I would want to ask from my therapist, I would want to ask from my coach, or I would want to ask from my trainer: where are you accredited from? What is your accreditation level? And that's a fair question to ask. Does that make sense? Now, if they don't have an accreditation, I would want to ask, what are the results they've produced? So these are two very important things. That tells me about the current standing of a person whom you're really getting that exposure from. And it's your bona fide right. Let me talk about something with Farhad. And I asked Farhad, what have you done? And I realized that his competence areas, or, for the accreditations that he has, were also in cost management accountancy. And I was like, whoa, this guy can really help me in business. And I do look up to him as a business mentor. So those accreditations are really important. Every trainer needs to basically work on their sense of accreditations and keep revising, recapping, redeveloping. And that's an important sense. I spend about a lot of my, personal development budget in terms of, that. And I would really welcome every one of you. Doesn't really matter, even if you call me sir, or you call me Arslan, or you believe that I'm your mentor. It's your right to ask me, where did I get my accreditations from? When was the last time did I upgrade my accreditation? And that's a good philosophy to work with. That's how you remain safe. That's how you can pick the right trainer, coach, and therapist for yourself, right? And that's how you can pay for price as well. I run away from interventionists or trainers and coaches who show off. They're fancy, they're glamorous. There's a lot of things that like, maine ye kiya, I've done this, I've done that. I run. I said, buddy, thank you so much. I really want a person who's down to earth, somebody who I can resonate with and pair and pawn, and see where I could create more meaning for myself. Again, it's not bad to market yourself. I love it. You should market yourself, but not, market at the expense of basically showing off. There's a very big difference in doing ethical marketing and showing off. And that's a very important aspect that I look forward for therapists, interventionists, and trainers. One more area, and you see, this market is unregulated. Let's talk about this. And this is really serious because I wanted to highlight this for trainer, coaches, and therapists. Training and coaching and therapy is a sacred, I find it to be sacred because it's part of my fraternity. Okay, that's the fraternity that I represent. And people who, suggest, like friendships, and when I mean friendships, like in terms of love and romanticism and romantic and sexual relationships, that's a big alarm, right? I can't believe that how many clients really came to me and told me about how their therapists and interventions, dealt with them, and how they were offering, exchange for sex, or, relationship, or they were, getting romantic. Guys, go get married, right? You can always have your own set of relationship and boundaries. Maintaining boundaries is the most important thing, and that's how I feel would be the most appropriate, channel to basically wait and understand how. I always take feedbacks in that context as to what the, background of, the coach, therapist, or client is. It's important for you guys to know that. And so be very ethical. If you really consider this as a profession, make sure you don't abuse the, authority. I mean, think about this for a moment. I mean, I'm not against relationships or anything, but somebody's coming to you with a problem. When, people come to you with a problem, they're the most vulnerable. This is kind of like, me getting into a fight with someone and they're not even of my body size, and they're, they've got deficiencies of minerals and vitamins, and I'm picking up a fight on them, or I'm picking up a fight with a kid. They're most vulnerable at that time. I mean, you're at that moment, even if it's just so sad and sorry that, I had this one client who came and they shared this, and I felt so, deeply hurt by that. So they said like, this is also a really hard topic to embark on. And they, They said that, well, I was in a relationship with my therapist, and my therapist threatened me that if it was mutually consented, because the client really did show that, yes, I did agree that, and I did mention that I also love you too. The client did say that, but that's not the client's fault. That's the therapist or the coach or the trainer's fault. They were misled, or it was a leading based session that was a suggestive session where the client was most vulnerable, and they took advantage. And never ever take advantage of somebody's vulnerability. Karma's a bitch, and if you don't believe so, it's going to come back to you in ways that are very unforgiving. You see, either you discipline yourself or life will discipline you. I think that's a very good takeaway if you guys could, but this is something that you should really take into consideration. And other thing that I really want to highlight is the labeling factor. So you go to one person and they label you that you have ADHD, you have you are an introvert, you're an extrovert, and they put you into a box. So you've got borderline personality, you're depressed, you're clinically depressed. Although I'm not a psychologist, let me just make this very clear. I only work with so when I say word therapy, I'm saying complementary and alternative therapy, like hypnotherapy and timeline therapy. Before you get your diagnostics, even if somebody was as a psychologist, please make sure you go to at least 3 good standing psychologists to certify a diagnostics and to figure out what really is the challenge area. Many a times what has happened is that when I've worked in conjunction with psychologists and psychiatrists, and that's in conjunction, we have the sense of authority, we get medical referrals. It was high times it was realized that there was no syndrome, there was no disorder. It was just minor sense of, what we call, normal healthy depression is a thing, guys. You won't find that on Google, but there's something that is called normal healthy depression. That's, your way, or the way the function, how people evolve. And some of it is good. You see, let's establish this and maybe write this down. You become a coach and therapist does not mean your life is not going to get screwed ever again. You're going to have problems. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have areas you're going to fall. You're going to basically, have certain areas where you're going to be stressed or, perplexed, or maybe let's say challenged. So all that is going to happen. But here's the important part, really important part. When you learn about these tools and techniques, it teaches you how to get back up faster. How to get back up faster. Isn't that really cool? Isn't that really informative? So I do also have certain challenges. I do also have negative thinking. I have negative emotions. I have limiting beliefs. I have sometimes inner conflicts. I am able to get through them faster. So for me now, life doesn't happen to me, it's happening for me, and I'm moving with that sense of precision. I just got a message today, and I would want to really read this message out to you guys. So he says, why is the word psycho with psychology? Why is the word psycho with psychology? And of course, they mostly are psycho. And I just listened to that comment because that's basically somebody, talking about my fraternity. So I said, if you take psycho to be is equal to psychology, then that's labeling. Does that make sense? Because psycho doesn't equal to psychology. Psychology is understanding the science. That's not it. So labels are a really, really bad thing. So, but yes, I did mention this, and I mentioned them for sure. A trainer, a coach, or a therapist, or a psychologist, they work with people who are depressed, and for sure they may have certain ranges of depression that they work with. Psychologists, people work with clinical depression, but normal healthy depression could be really focused and intervened by a coach as well. And trainers work on negative thinking, negative emotions, limiting beliefs, and inner conflicts, right? When they're working with people having problems, they're working with 5 people every single day that have problems. They too will be projecting. So the clients project a lot as we project our, beautiful presence onto them. They also project their beautiful presence onto us. So technically it's the rule of thumb. So if you're with 5 drug addicts, you'll be a half drug addict. Does that make sense for you guys? And if you're with, 5 billionaires, at least you'll be a half millionaire, if not a billionaire. So you're defined by the company that you keep. So as a psychologist or as a therapist, you're working with people who are with disorders. And if they have disorders, sure, they too require therapy. So that's a really important thing about labeling. Don't label people, right? Understand the challenge area. Being present with your client is about not labeling them, but understanding them, having that sense of, empathy for those people. So here are also a few more areas that we would want to do. I don't go to interventionists who dogment one treatment. Dogmenting one treatment. What does that mean? Oh, आपको सिर्फ इस tool की ज़रूरत है. Like it's like ये एक दवा. This is one medicine that's gonna work for you. So I don't really like that. I feel that they should have more skill. A coach should have a skill set of not imposing tools and techniques, or a trainer imposing tools and technique on someone, but facilitating the process, which basically makes an easier understanding for a client to create that shift and transformation they require. How many of you agree to this, right? Would that happen if I told you a strategy? Would that strategy work with every single one who's present right now online? Or it may be okay for some specific person, but the craftsmanship of a coach, trainer, and therapist is to help the client to resonate with an area that really works for them. So you're getting a facilitative solution out from the client, and that's a beautiful sense of a therapist that one should have. That's a therapist I would want to go to. That's a coach I would want to go to. That's a trainer I would want to go to. Otherwise, I'm gonna run. Hashtag run, right? So yeah. And the other thing that I would want to highlight is therapies for themselves. And we've got a lot of psychologists, we've got a lot of psychotherapists, we've got a lot of psychiatrists who come and get trainings from our institution. I'm really honored. Thank you for always trusting our brand and being there with us. And they're producing even far more significant results. And one thing that I emphasize to them as well is to help them to understand and educate the market around this. And I run away from an interventionist or a therapist who says, "Mujhe mere liye therapy nahi chahiye. I don't need any therapies for myself. I studied whatever I studied, and I don't really need therapy. I'm not a negative person." Run. Hashtag run. That's not a person to really collaborate with. People should be open towards, understanding themselves more, seeing their behaviors, and seeing how they could really respond and communicate much more better. Make sure to basically hit that subscribe, like, and share button. Do visit our YouTube channel, and you can just Google Arslan Larik. That's just pretty much it that you would really require to do. This would basically help us to create more content, and we can remain as a community. I'm doing this for you guys. The closer that we work together, the closer that we could basically bond, and we could basically understand more innovative ways of helping the people who are really in need out there, right? Thank you for your time, guys. Love you all.